from COVID-19. The Native American Community Clinic is now administering the updated Pfizer bivalent booster. The updated bivalent booster helps protect against the original COVID-19 strain and against newer Omicron variants. And it will help restore protection that has decreased since previous vaccinations. People age 5 and older are now recommended to get an updated bivalent booster dose at least 2 months after their last COVID-19 shot. That means the bivalent booster may be given after a person's primary series or after their last booster shot, regardless of what brand you received before. Even if you've already had COVID-19, you should get vaccinated. Right now, at the Native American Community Clinic, you can get COVID-19 vaccines, including updated boosters, at the same visit as other vaccines. However, if you've received a recent monkeypox vaccine, you may need to wait 4 weeks before you can get a COVID-19 vaccine, and you should discuss this with your provider. Schedule your vaccination appointment with the Native American Community Clinic by calling 612-872-8086.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Beaulieu. Winter storm warning continues. Snow and freezing rain possible tonight with a low of 31. Then more snow and freezing rain possible on Wednesday with a high of 33. Hazel's Northeast offers the most creative comfort food you'll find for any meal of the day. Hazel's is located at 29th and Johnson in Minneapolis, minutes from 35W. More at hazelsne2go.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, Henny Cutter gave me.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot, and we discuss local and national Native news and events. And as you know, Ogama, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
And as people who listen to us daily might know, this portion of the show is brought to you by MN350, a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice here in Minnesota.
So, hey, today I went to the round dance at the Capitol, Ogama, and the Native American candidates that were elected and reelected got sworn in after that. So it was a very festive day, along with blinding snow here in the Twin Cities. So we got about 8 inches to 8 to 10 inches, and we're going to have a couple more in the next few days. So how are things up there?
You know, we're in another winter storm warning here in most of Minnesota.
And I just want to remind everybody to remember your elders, parents of young children, relatives with limited movement or health needs, and our unhoused relatives at this time. If you can, support your community, support those around you that might need help moving snow, getting around, getting rides to places, or who must live out in the elements. If you have the means to support those members of the community, you definitely should. It would be the right thing to do as we come into yet another winter storm part 96 this year, right, Robert?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it was funny. Wendy and I were talking about. It's like, wow, it's just turned like January, and go. This has really been a long winter already.
It has, yeah, and we're not even quite halfway through, I think. I mean, it's winter till April here in Minnesota. So
Exactly. Hey, so why don't we get with the news, and then we got a jam-packed show. Who do we have today? We have Nancy Beaulieu later on, and
and we also have
Marisa
Marisa
Cummings.
Cummings. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
She's
excited
the
to talk to her.
Yeah, she's the president of the Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center, and she does a lot of really wonderful work for the community. I'm really excited to have her on and talk about the work that she's doing and the things that she had experienced today as well, because you and her were both at the round dance at the Minnesota State Capitol today to celebrate the swearing in of Representatives Kozlowski, Keeler, and Becker Finn, as well as the swearing in of State Senator now Mary Kunish and the Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan as well. So
Yeah, definitely. Well, let her rip there. We're having a little trouble hearing you. You're coming in and out. I don't know if you can just like hook up your mic or stare at get closer to the microphone on your computer.
interesting. I guess I'm not entirely sure why. Oh, wait, hold on. Is that it?
Yeah.
All right, everybody who's watching, pretend that didn't happen, okay? Bonjour, relatives. It's a Monday on a Tuesday for Ogama, who did not have her mic in front of her face. I was thinking I was using a different microphone, and here we are. So, before we get into the story that I have today, Robert, I just want to talk a little bit about it. And I'm hesitant to bring up stories like this. It's along the lines of the pretendian theme, or non-Indigenous people pretending to be Indigenous when they in fact are not. And I'm leery to bring this up as somebody who's an Indigenous person with fair skin, and who up until recently wasn't super able to be connected to her culture, and even now is a little bit disconnected from her reservation. I know who my family is, but unfortunately, due to blood quantum, I wasn't actually able to be enrolled until a few years ago. And I know that there have been times in my own life where people have questioned my identity as a Native person, and my heritage from the Red Lake Nation here in northern Minnesota. And it's hurtful that those things happen, especially when we have a lot of relatives who are maybe a little bit disconnected, who are descendants that celebrate their culture but maybe are unable to be enrolled. I really think that those types of conversations are harmful, but in this case was a really blatant case of somebody pretending to be Native when they were in fact white. There was an Indigenous artist named Kay LeClaire, who was actually turned out to be non-Indigenous. She came on the scene in about 2020 or 2017, excuse me, but really started to get more notice in the community starting in 2020. And this is over in Madison, Wisconsin. She claimed that she had been Métis, Oneida, Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Cuban, and Jewish heritage, and also identified as a two-spirit person. And LeClaire was a member and co-owner of Gige, I think is how you say it. It's an Indigenous artist collaborative, and excuse me, artist collective. And she earned artist stipends, paid residency at the University of Wisconsin. She got a place on the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women's Task Force in Wisconsin, had a lot of speaking gigs and art exhibitions, and then a platform and trust in the community based on an ethnic identity that was completely fabricated. LeClaire did not want to be interviewed by Madison 365, which is whose story I'm taking my information from right now. But she did issue an apology stating that a lot of information has come to her attention and she's still processing it all and does not yet know how to respond adequately. And that moving forward, her efforts will be towards reducing harm and following the directions provided by Native community members and community specified proxies. She's no longer using the Ojibwe name given to her and removing herself from community spaces, positions, projects, and grants, and will not seek new ones, and is planning on redistributing back into the community any cultural items she received, either to the original makers or gift givers whenever possible, or elsewhere to members determined by the community. She has not answered any follow-up questions. It was discovered that she was non-Indigenous from a New Age fraud forum and a message from Advanced Smite, who spoke with Madison 365, but asked to remain anonymous for fear of exposing LeClaire and several other pretendians is the common name people would use for this. But they just so happened to feel that something was a little bit off with this person and did a little bit of online record research as they happened to be a hobbyist genealogist and discovered LeClaire's true lineage as German, Swedish, and French Canadian. And then when they confirmed, they posted it on their blog. Many members of Gige and the Madison community are frustrated and really feeling the hurt from this. There's just so much wrong with the harm that this causes. It's a non-native person taking and making a profit for themselves using traditions that were illegal for many years. Arvina Martin was interviewed as part of this, and she's a member of the Ho-Chunk Nation. And she said to take our traditions and then make a name for your individual self is completely against Native values. And so many of our traditions were illegal for so long, it really just twists the knife to see that happened with somebody that was trusted by the community. And, Robert, I get so frustrated when I see these types of things. I think that there's a lot of non-Indigenous people who are out there making action and doing good work as allies to the Indigenous community, but to see somebody blatantly lie and say that they're Indigenous and turn around and make a profit off of it is just really, really painful. And Robert, I don't know if you have anything to say on this before we go to commercial.
Well, it's upsetting, and we know in the years past that groups get money from grants and
Mhm.
as just calling themselves Indian, and so this is not new, but it's not it's always shattering and shakes my bones, Ogma,
Yeah.
when I hear somebody as prominent as that in Madison as a pretendian. Like you said earlier, we're not here to out people. That's not our job. But this just came up through the news wire and very, very destructive. And so we should probably take a break. I'm so upset, but
Yeah, and for anybody wondering the real world implications of this, there's a legislative hopeful in Montana named Drew Zinneker, who's a staffer right now for Representative Braxton Mitchell, who's a Republican for Columbia Falls in Montana. And they asked during a press conference yesterday if the reservations want to say they are independent countries, but they want a lot of handouts. Why are we counting their ballots? Basically questioning whether or not tribes living on reservations in Montana should be able to vote in state elections. So there's really real world implications for these problems.
We'll be right back with Marisa Cummings. Stay with us, please.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager. the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Unwanted sexting or photos, inappropriate jokes, even tickling or wrestling can feel like a violation. Catcalling, cornering, or groping, getting them drunk or high for sex, recording sexual acts without permission, hurting someone because of their sexual orientation, ripping a family member, a child, a date, a friend, a stranger, purchasing a human being for sex. You make the choice every single time. Sexual violence is many things. Make a choice. Do not do it.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Health insurance that fits my budget? I'm covered. I needed health coverage I could count on and afford. MNsure helped me find a plan that works for me, and they helped me save money. Did you know that most Minnesotans qualify for savings through MNsure? And they have free experts who can help you sign up for coverage. Go to mnsure.org today and get started and get covered. That's mnsure.org. mnsure.org.
Welcome back. Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
Hey, this portion of the show is brought to you by the Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center.
Wow. Hey, we have Marisa Cummings in the background there. I think she's bouncing her laptop here on live radio. Hey, I just got to say something to Ogama before we get with you, Marisa. This show works a lot better with a microphone, doesn't it?
It sure does, yes.
Yeah. We had, you probably missed this, Marisa, but Ogama was starting to do the news without her microphone, and it was like there was no smoke signals or anything. But first of all, can you hear us okay?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, hear you really well. Hey, I'm really excited to have you on, and I know time's limited for you, but I'm really excited to have you on because every time I see you and talk to you, I learn something from you. And I just want to say, this is Marisa Cummings, president of the Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center here in the Minnesota Twin Cities, and we're all over the nation here. And I don't know, I just want to sit back and learn some more from you because I think we talked a little bit today about not only your work, but kind of how to do things in a good way, you know. And I know we've kind of gotten a little backlash here in the last couple of weeks because my land acknowledgement is always give us our land back, and then nobody asks me to do a land acknowledgement anymore, which is kind of the idea. But again, welcome. I'm talking too much. I think it's all that coffee I had at the Capitol.
Well, you had a busy day today. It was an exciting day. Yeah, I think that you're right on point. I'm asked to do land acknowledgements too, and I often talk about why I don't do them. And I think that I know how they started. I know how they started in Canada. I understand, you know, the Canadian tribal communities' relationship with removal was different than ours here. And I think we have to really fully understand before we jump on board and just get really excited about things. And because I was excited when I heard about land acknowledgements, I'm like, yeah, let's do this. And then I really started to think critically and reflect on it. And I realized that it's just a evolution of the settler colonial mindset of land possession and ownership. And that there has to be a better way that we can do this and a better way that we can acknowledge all of the people in the relationship with all of our human and non-human relatives that are all around us. And there just has to be a thoughtful, intentional way that we go about things. And always, if we don't know, just always, offering tobacco and asking. And I think that's because I don't know everything. I don't know much of anything. But what I do know, I know that it's important for me to try and teach and gift other people to carry that teaching forward. So.
Yeah, and you do, and it's exciting too. We talked about your applique on your dress when I met you at Clyde's funeral, or met you again because I got a good memory, but it's short because I'm an old junior elder. But how the Winnebago. We're all over Wisconsin live, and maybe you could fill our relatives how because we have a lot of white allies that listen to the show and fill them in on our relationships that we've had over the years.
Well, I think that kinship is essential to our entire identity as Indian people. Kinship and relationship. And we see a lot of this, even what's happening right now with a lot of pretend Indian, or what we'd say are people that are exploiting our kindness and our openness as Indian people to take on an identity that is not their own and then exploit it. So our relationship, I think, as Maha people, so I'm Omaha, and Maha means the people who went upstream, and it refers to a point. We have many creation stories, right? Like our creation stories are circular, not linear. And it refers to when we were crossing the Mississippi River at the headwaters, and half of our people went downstream, which became the Ogakpa or the Quapa, and then later split to the Osage, the Kaw, and then the other group that stayed upstream because the current changed, and that is the Umonhon, and then later the Ponca. And so that larger group was named something else. They weren't Umonhon, they weren't Ponca, they weren't Osage, they were Wajaje, they were named something else. And I think that larger group came from even larger group, which encompassed the Iowa, the Oto, and the Hutanga, or what you say, Hutangara. So that relationship we have with one another is so important to think about, even in our tribal communities, to view each other as relatives, and that we traded, we fought just like relatives do. We fight sometimes, we get along sometimes, but for us as Maha people, half of our reservation was ceded to the Winnebago tribe of Nebraska, or the Ho-Chunk people that were displaced, put onto steamships along with the Dakota relatives, taken to Crow Creek, and then they had the foresight and the innovation to come down the stream or down the river to where our people were, and then they live there now. So that's a beautiful story of relationship and survival for some of the Ho-Chunk people that were exiled, as well as Dakota people from the state of Minnesota, which, as we know, is still on the books.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful story because your nation reached out to ours and helped ours because basically they were put on a rock to die, and you guys took them, as a good relative, not under your wing, but helped them out, and the Ho-Chunk of Nebraska are still there and still thriving.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I've had different people up north be start talking Ho-Chunk to me, and I know I can understand, I don't understand it, but I know that it's Ho-Chunk. And I'm always like, no, I'm Omaha. But I know that the applique that we wear, that the floral work is something that is just beautiful, that I know the Ho-Chunk are known for. And but yeah, it's part of our regalia as well as Maha women. So.
Yeah, perfect. I was wondering too, because we only got a few minutes left here, if you could tell us a little bit about the Indian Women's Resource Center here in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis.
Well, the Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center has been around since the 1980s, and it's a gift to really be able to be part of the evolution, I think, of the center. And it is a place, we have about 50 employees, and we have services for our people, our women and their families, our community, that range outside of just Minneapolis, that range across the state and sometimes the region. So we offer services, everything from services for unsheltered relatives with a drop-in center to assistance with domestic violence, sexual assault survivor groups that are all culturally centered and rooted in our way of life. We have an IOP program or intensive outpatient treatment program, as well as Healing Journey, which is another version of a peer support group. And we also do have things just for everyday people that just want to come and do a ribbon skirt, or we may have a moccasin making class. We did a pake earring making class, which I'm sure you can appreciate, the ho-chunk earrings. And just, ways for Indian women to connect with one another in a good way, to build relationships and also center our culture and our way of life.
So, do you have like a website or anything out there that we could send people to across Turtle Island and myself? Because I want to I want to pierce my other ear again and make some earrings. Wow.
Well, it's really a simple one. It's miwrc.org. So www.miwrc.org, and you'll see a lot of the different programming that we have, as well as how to donate to our organization and the work that we do.
Well, I really appreciate you stopping in, and I really want to try and make this like a once a month or once every couple of weeks, because it's too short a time right now, because we could dig deep into your knowledge, and I could sit back here and learn and have a day off and listen to all the good words come from you.
Oh, I appreciate your kind words. Thank you.
And then, I'm not buttering you up for that baseball cap you have. Yeah.
I promise.
Great to see you. Let's talk real soon. Really great. We're with Marisa Cummings, president of the Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center here in the Twin Cities, Minnesota. We'll be right back after this short break. Thanks again.
Health insurance that fits my budget? I'm covered. I needed health coverage I could count on and afford. MNsure helped me find a plan that works for me, and they helped me save money. Did you know that most Minnesotans qualify for savings through MNsure? And they have free experts who can help you sign up for coverage. Go to mnsure.org today and get started and get covered. That's mnsure.org. mnsure.org. Seward Co-op is now offering convenient self-serve and prepackaged hot options and salad bars at both the Franklin and Friendship stores. Breakfast items available daily until 11 a.m. and brunch served all day every Sunday. Their weekly lunch and dinner menus highlight cuisines from around the world. They offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options daily. 95% of the ingredients used are organic from small-scale, local community food producers whenever possible. More at seward.coop.
Hello, it's Randy Rhodes, Team Randy. Glad to be a part of the lineup of Progressive Voices on AM 950. Tune in, join us weeknights at 10.
Don't drive too fast or you will miss Scott Jamama's Hot Barbecue. Scott Jamama's offers huge taste out of a little place. Located at 3 West Diamond Lake Road near the intersection of Nicollet Avenue and West Diamond Lake Road in Minneapolis, this tiny hole in the wall offers mouth-watering baby back ribs, grilled chicken, and half-pound pulled pork sandwiches. Don't forget to add the potato salad, spicy baked beans, twice baked potatoes, and delicious desserts. Find their winter hours and full menu at scottjamamas.com.
The new year is here, and it's time to take advantage of Zero Res's best deal of the year. Carpets, tile, rugs, upholstery, basically every surface in your home can be Zero Resified, so it's time to call the cleaning pros at Zero Res. And don't forget your air ducts to help alleviate allergies and asthma. And it's also important to enjoy less dust, lower energy bills, and your home staying cleaner longer. Zero Res is here to protect your biggest investment, your home. Why pay someone to clean your carpet if they are going to leave something behind that makes it dirty again super fast? Zero Res is the longest lasting and best clean. Schedule your appointment at zeroresminnesota.com or call 952-0RES and don't forget to ask for the AM 950 special. This month, book and clean in January only and get 23% off all services for 2023. That's 952-0RES or zeroresminnesota.com. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. To avoid gimmicks, call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067, or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Beaulieu. Winter storm warning continues. Snow and freezing rain possible tonight with a low of 31. Then more snow and freezing rain possible on Wednesday with a high of 33. Hazel's Northeast offers the most creative comfort food you'll find for any meal of the day. Hazel's is located at 29th and Johnson in Minneapolis, minutes from 35W. More at hazelsne2go.com.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. This is Spirit from Reservation Dogs. Get up and listen.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
Hey, I'm on mute. This portion of the show was brought to you by MN Sure. If you are needing health insurance that fits your budget, head on over to mnsure.org.
Hey, I thought you were doing a little sign language there, Ogma. Wasn't too sure what was happening, but it's, what did you say? It's our Monday on Tuesday, or how did you put that?
It's Monday on Tuesday, and I'm still cleaning up the Christmas carnage at my house, so y'all have to bear with me today.
Exactly. Hey, so it's Tuesday, and it's Nancy Beaulieu Day, and we're so happy to have her on each week. And Nancy's with the MN 350 and Bemidji 350, and she's a doer. So, that's all you guys out there need to know. And you're out doing some stuff right now, right, Nance? Welcome.
Right. Beaulieu, it's always a pleasure to be here. And again, I'm the Northern Organizer for Minnesota 350. And I want to wish everybody a happy new year, and, always be a better version of yourself. And so, take a reflection of what you could have done better last year and just do better this year. And yes, Robert, I was out and about. Again, there's a lot of, candidates that got sworn into office today, not just down at the Capitol, but here in northern Minnesota. We had our Beltrami County commissioners sworn in, and I want to give a big shout out to Tim Sumner from Red Lake. And he is Ward 4. And I think, I could be wrong, but this is his third term. And then we have Joe Gould, and I think some of our listeners might remember him. He's an ally, and he's a school teacher in Cass Lake. So, he's around our people and really supports the treaty obligations that we have together as treaty partners. So I had to make sure I went there to show them support. And we also have a new sheriff in town. So,
wow.
Yeah. Robert, what's interesting about that was prior to him being a new sheriff in town, he kind of heard who I was, as being one of the leaders at Camp Firelight. And it was an honor at his candidate forum to share the good news that we won our treaty case and what that means moving forward collectively as the new sheriff in town and as Anishinaabe people here in the 1855 treaty territory.
Wow, that is awesome. Nancy, too, your support of politicians and being up there and keeping them accountable is is probably why a lot of our people that listen to our show love to hear you speak, because that is the truth. And today's the beginning of that day, right?
Right. And, like I said, I think it's really important to keep showing up and no matter how difficult it might be, because sometimes they use tactics to, hold us down, and smother our voices and, disregard our concerns. But I think, from my experience, just keep showing up and keep showing up. They catch on and say, she's not a rebel without a cause. She's really about something. And it's, all the support that I get from, the listeners, the people that are in the movement, the people that are on the front line. And again, that wasn't the only place I was tonight, Robert. There was the Bemidji City Council being sworn in. So I was there because Audrey Thayer, our elder from White Earth, has moved from Ward 1 to the new counselor at large. So basically, she's the mini mayor. And, a big shout out to Audrey for, running for office and winning. And then Emily Riviera, she's an ally and she's done nothing but good for our people here as well. So I had to be there to support, the run for office and their willingness to be a voice that's often fallen on deaf ears. So, this is how we do it, Robert. You got to keep showing up. And, I want to encourage, people out there that are listening, especially the young people, that y'all run for office. Because I was just talking to a Republican today who finally admitted that Trump is losing support. And what he says is, we got to get past this political divide. And you're right, Nancy, there's something better we can do, and we do better together. But what this Republican really made a big point of, we need young blood, and we do. Some of these old folks, that includes me and you, Robert, we're kind of tired, and I think these young people really have a lot to offer us, and I think it's their turn.
Well, Nancy, it's funny that your Republican friend says that, because the Gen Zers outnumbered almost my age group, which is the Boomers, for the first time ever. So he's probably hoping that the Gen Zers come over to the Republican Party, because they're doing their thing and they're moving and grooving. So, but we do have to work together. We are one group of people, and in a good way, is what as natives have been taught all our lives.
Right. And like I told a new sheriff in town, I was going to show up in a good way. And regardless how challenging it might be at times, we have to find a way that works for all of us. And, again, we're all treaty people. And regardless of what political party you belong to, what church you go to, how you self-identify, we're all in this together. And I think, the most pleasing part of my job is showing up and reminding people that treaties do matter, and that we're still here, and that we're going to continue to show up. So yeah, Robert, politics ain't for everybody, but at the same time, if we're not engaged in this process, we're going to continue to fall back. And I think, what's really inspired me to do this work is people like, Jamie Becker Finn and Kolowski and our lieutenant governor, these women and young people coming forward to say, we want to be at the table. And, if you need to learn how and want to know how, you just reach up to some of these elected officials, and they're more than happy to hold your hand and teach you this process and engage you in how to be more effective at winning office. And, Robert, to be honest, I probably will never run for office. I think my job is to be a voice for the people and continue to build these healthy relationships, because you know what? We have to do better in 2023, and we have to spread the love and learn how to get along in a good way.
Yeah, I agree 100%. But don't ever say you're not going to run for office, because we know that we would love to have you. We all would love to have you run for office, because you do things in a good way. And yeah, and you have a good heart too, and so that's sometimes lacking in some of our politicians. And I talked to people like Heather Keeler, who had the round dance today at the Capitol and put that all together. that they're a doer, and we need doers. And there's people that aren't doers that are still in the same job that she said, that are representatives or senators, and I don't know what they're doing.
Right. Well, I would just hope that people are inspired by, these people that continue to step it up and be a voice for us. And, looking into 2023, Robert, tomorrow, Andy Pearson from Minnesota 350 will be here to work in person with me. And we're going to plan what 2023 will bring and how we're going to continue to defend the treaties and keep showing up, Robert. And I think, I feel positive about 2023. There was a lot of hardship for myself personally in 2022, but it only made me stronger, Robert. And I have to remind myself, I don't mention it too often, but I won this high honor from the Women's Press magazine in December 2021. And it was one of 10 change makers, Minnesota. And it was really difficult to accept that honor because I felt I wasn't doing anything extraordinary. I'm just following my original instructions to defend the treaties and protect all that is sacred. And so I'm here just to show people, that, anyone can do it. If I can do it, we all can do it. So I want to inspire people to, jump in to the space and find us at Minnesota 350. And we're going to continue to call on our allies and hold space with us and build a future together where we can all thrive.
I want to remind everybody out there too, and maybe the first time listeners to the show, that a lot of our actions, including this show, started because of Standing Rock. And the show, Native Roots Radio, started because of all the misinformation out there. But also, when Standing Rock ended, the 7 fires went all over the world, and we see things like Nancy Beaulieu, reservation dogs. We see things that we haven't ever seen before as Native people.
There's a lot of truth to that, Robert, and I couldn't say it any better. But quite honestly, I was a student, which was a good thing. I was an LPN student at the time. Standing Rock came to be, and my heart compelled me to go, and I just followed my heart. And there ain't been nothing but goodness happened since then. And if it hadn't been for Standing Rock, I don't think I'd even be a part of this show, Robert. You probably would have never met me. But yeah, we brought some fire home with us, and it's still lit, and we're going to continue to keep that fire lit and keep representing our people and all living things. And I couldn't thank the supporters, MN 350. And I also, before my segment runs out here in a short minute, I want to give a big chimigwitch to the person that paid my vehicle repair. I just recently had some bad luck again, and the shop called today and said, this is the cost of your bill, and it's been taken care of. And it took me a couple seconds to let that sink in. I was like, can you say that one more time? And Robert, there's so many good people out there too, despite the hardships that I've been through in 2022. And I was moved to tears today because people do care. And it's that kind of goodness that keeps me going. And I couldn't have done it without the supporters and people like yourself, Robert.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I appreciate the people helping you out too, to get that war pony, because people don't realize that you're like, for the city folk that I am, you're in the middle of nowhere. You need a war pony to get to the store.
Right. For people that don't know, I'm actually right in the middle of 3 little towns in northern Minnesota, and it takes about 30 minutes to get to either one of those towns. And so I live remotely. I live where the coyotes live, Robert. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
they're all out there. So, yeah, I couldn't ask for a better place to be in. I think I'm in a good place in my life, and I feel a lot of goodness for 2023. And I can't say how much I support, all those people out there also holding all those other different front lines.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, Nancy, always a pleasure to have you drop in. We have more people in the chat on here on Facebook and YouTube give you a shout out than any other guest we have. So that says something there. We'll renegotiate your contract in 2024. Thank you so much for being on.
All right. Thanks for having me, and much love to everybody. And again, do your best in 2023.
Right on. Hey, we'll be right back. We're going to talk a little bit with our intern, and Ogum and I are going to quiz her on how cool we are. We'll be right back after the short break. Stay with us.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Health insurance that fits my budget, I'm covered. I needed health coverage I could count on and afford. MNsure helped me find a plan that works for me, and they helped me save money. Did you know that most Minnesotans qualify for savings through MNsure? And they have free experts who can help you sign up for coverage. Go to mnsure.org today and get started and get covered. That's mnsure.org. mnsure.org.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves. Please join Howling for Wolves on Wolf Day, Tuesday, February 7th, 2023 at the Minnesota State Capitol. You can sign up on Howling for Wolves event page. Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
Hey, this portion of the show is brought to you by the by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
So, hey, this is a segment we want to call What Does Our Intern Think? And I got to see and meet you for the first time and your family. Got to see your mother and your little bro, and it was just a really good thing. How did you feel today? It was a joyous occasion at the
Right.
Minnesota State Capitol.
It really was. It was really nice meeting all these people. I got to see Mary Kunish for the first time. She was this might be inappropriate, but she was way shorter than I anticipated.
And I was way taller, right?
Yeah, you totally I was surprised.
I think I remember feeling that way when I met Mary Kunish too, because she is such a powerful force that I think I imagined her as taller than myself. And to see her as a petite person really was a little bit jarring for me.
Right. Yeah. It was just oh, okay. So you aren't as tall as I anticipated.
I really appreciate it. I think I heard the AIM song today for the opening. One of the better versions I've ever heard in my whole life. It was beautiful today.
Yeah. I'm really proud that my family got to sing for that. It was just oh wow. I wonder if everyone was feeling the same way I was feeling. Um
Well, I know I was because that's the first time there was ever a round dance in the proceedings prior to being sworn in for the legislators and the senator, the senators and the state reps. So that was a first thing and put together, and it was great sitting by people I normally don't, and seeing a lot of people I haven't seen in a while too, and meeting you and your family again, and in a real way because we've been meeting over long distance, so to speak, here through StreamYard via Facebook. I got to tell you this: Ogma's been on the show for over 3 years, and I've probably met her 11 times.
Wow.
I think we're at under a dozen still. Yeah, it's only been a few times in person that we've met for sure.
And
Yeah.
that's the way things have happened since COVID, is that we're able to do things like this radio show. I'm at my house. I used to drive to the station and do it, and Ogama's up in the deep north, and our guests and interns chime right in without a microphone and anything, and it sounds pretty good and looks great.
Right, I know. This was something I always wondered if like my microphone was ever echoing because I don't use a microphone, I just use the computer.
No,
But
it always sounds good. It sounds really, pretty surprisingly really well, so we'll have to
Mm.
figure out what computer you have and tell our guests to get one.
Yeah, no, it's just a MacBook Air.
Cool,
Hey, that
so
is a good one, though. I mean, it's good for the work that you've been doing, which I just want to take a moment to give you credit for as well. Ayana's been working on much of the promotional materials for Native Roots Radio that you'll see on our social media, and these awesome posters that come up when the show starts with the guests. She's the creative force behind those and has been doing a wonderful job with them. So I just want to take a few minutes on air and tell her thank you so much. We're really excited and proud to have you on with us.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I know it's been like really fun working with you guys. I know this is, I think, my last week interning for y'all, and it's just like it was so much experience, and I'm so glad that I got to meet so many people. I got to meet you guys, and it was just like a very healthy way to grow in this like community.
Well, thank
and I
you.
know
That's really good to hear.
yeah, really appreciate that, and it was exciting to hear your mother, was really excited that you were working with us because she went to college for, mass communications too, so she felt like you were a little chip off the old block there.
Right. Yeah, she even was in graphic design, so I think I really take after my mom, especially in like the way she is career driven. I thought I've always like admired my mom, and I really just like wanted to like take a step in her direction. And I'm happy that I got to do that with y'all.
Well, hopefully we can get you back, that would be awesome, and, you look at you have a fan right there, it said "Awesome graphics," that's cool
Oh,
down there.
thank you.
And then I understand too that you've, also, are doing something with radio right now too, in school?
Yeah, it's Speak in Minneapolis with I believe Riot Radio, and that is with James James Harmon. And it's
Mhm.
a high school radio thing where we're learning like the ins and outs of like in-person radio. So we have those like TI like radio speakers.
Oh, neat. I've
Yeah.
only ever heard of those. I haven't worked with those like in person. That's so exciting.
Yeah, so it's definitely like I'm so interested in like this career path, and I really um it's nice to explore it in like all the other ways, even in like film and like media, because that's something we're going to do. We're going to be talking about our own personal identities and having that explained in the media. And I'm happy that there's like native medias, and that's like this is like a gateway to like being more um in like bigger TV shows.
Yeah. Well, and it's fun too because, someday you'll be doing what, Ogama and I we are doing, and I see that coming up really soon, and that's what it's all about when it comes to, our way is to give it away, to keep it, and, so it's exciting, and again, I hope this isn't, see you later because we sure would like to figure something out with you to help us out, whether part-time or, some kind of capacity for sure, or just a report or something. But we don't want to see you leave so fast.
Oh, well, thank you. I really hope to be able to help out in any way I can, even if it's just like freelancing.
Yep, there you go. There you go. She's got the words down too. And then, tell our whole audience too, how old you are. You're 16, correct?
Yeah.
So that's amazing. So like when I was 16, I couldn't tie my shoes or speak in complete sentences. And so you're totally amazing and way ahead of me.
Thank you. I know. It's just like there's something I've always had to tie my own shoes. I couldn't like do the Velcro.
Or the moccasins. Oh, wow.
Oh, yep. I really hope you're able to stay on with us, Ayana. I would miss this. So, do you have anything that I guess what's been your favorite part about this internship with us? Is there anything that really stands out with you?
I think my favorite part was about how many different people of different backgrounds continuously join. How like you guys built such a wonderful and welcoming community. I always see Nina joining, and I'm just like, wow, you guys have such like amazing supporters. And I think that was probably my favorite part.
We do really have amazing supporters, don't we?
I got to give a shout out to Tracy too, because she said, way to go to you. She was there today too. I don't know if you met her, if she came out, but she was there. And I got to wave across her at the rotunda, but she's awesome and does some great work in the community. And it's always amazing because she's from up where you are, isn't she, Ogama, Tracy?
She's actually a little bit further north than I am. She's Bois Forter. Bois Fort is way up north, practically Canadian. Practically, it's on the border up there. So,
well, she won. I remember too. Tracy won some tickets that we were giving out, and she was at the concert, and it was just like she drove all the way down to come down and see that concert with us. It was amazing to run into her.
yes, it's really good. Tracy's been a wonderful supporter for me as we go through all the stuff with the show too. I've seen her many, many times in person, probably more times than I've seen you in person, Robert, actually, over the course of covering the Line 3 occupation.
The show's over. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. And keep flying high. That's all I have to say. We're still here. Free Leonard Peltier now.
Hi, I'm Kelly Tinky.